I am 34 weeks pregnant, physically threatened in class, and admin still dropped the ball. I am a middle school computer science teacher for grades 6 to 8 and currently 34 weeks pregnant, considered high risk. I've made sure all the deans and admin were aware of my pregnancy. This year has been especially rough. One of my 7th grade classes is filled with students who have serious behavioral challenges. A group of 3 girls, let's call them Izzy, the loud and reckless one, Daisy, a disrespectful bully, and Vicky, the sleepy follower, have made the learning environment toxic all year. Most of my students have grown tired of them too because it's impossible to get through a lesson without redirecting them constantly. On the day this happened, I was introducing an HTML lesson. Daisy and Vicky began insulting each other, using other students' names as part of their jokes. I redirected them 4 times to bring the room back to 0 so I could continue the lesson. Things kept escalating, so I messaged the staff support chat asking for help. One student, John, typically quiet but sharp, spoke up and told them to shut up so I could teach. Daisy responded with, "Why don't you make me?" And John replied, "Every day you come in with the same shit. Why don't you just shut the F up so she can teach?" I was trying to de-escalate and asked Daisy and her crew to step out, but they refused. Then Daisy called me a dumb bee, slut, and hoe as I walked to hit the intercom for assistance, again. John told her to shut up again, and she snapped back, calling him an autistic bee. John then said, "That's why your dad is dead, he probably didn't want to deal with your shit." Daisy replied, "That's why your mom's dead," and John shot back, "She's not." Daisy started to physically move toward John, and I got between them, yelling, "Get the F out." I regret my language, but I was desperate. It had been over 10 minutes since I asked for help and no one had come. She stormed out and only then did a dean come up the stairs. I told him she had just left and shut my door, trying to regain control of the room. I apologized to my students for my language and the disruption, and just as I started turning back to the board, Daisy came charging back in and sucker punched John while he was sitting at his computer working. She ran off again. I barely caught John before he could chase after her. That's when I realized he was bleeding. I was able to get him into my office, adjacent to my room. A few minutes later, another dean came in asking what happened. I explained that Daisy came back in and attacked him. To make it worse, I was told that they allowed Daisy to return to the classroom to retrieve her belongings. No one could even locate her at that point, but when they did, they let her back into the space where she had just assaulted another student. My blood pressure was dangerously high and I had to step away because I was physically shaking. I felt, and still feel, furious and completely unsupported. I'm angry that it took over 10 minutes for anyone to respond to my multiple requests for help. A known bully, who has had physical altercations in the past, was allowed to return to my classroom after assaulting someone. I was left to handle it all alone, despite being heavily pregnant and in a high-risk situation. I'm exhausted and honestly terrified of returning to work for the remainder of my pregnancy. My administration's response has been weak at best. I needed to get this off my chest. Would love to hear from anyone who has been in similar shoes. Am I overreacting?